Okay, welcome to Concept 4 in Chapter 2. This is solving proportions using cross products. So cross products means multiplying. So yes, in this lesson we're going to be cross multiplying. And I know students usually really like cross multiplying, but you need to be really careful with cross multiplying because over the years I've seen students doing it the wrong way, so we're going to make sure in this lesson that we really know the correct way to cross multiply. So anyway, in order to start talking about proportions, first we need to start talking about ratios. So a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. And I think that you have seen ratios before. In fact, I can almost guarantee that you have seen a ratio before. Ratios can be written three different ways, okay, when you compare two numbers. So I'm just gonna pull two numbers out of thin air, basically. You can have, if I want to say 2 to 5, I can say 2 to 5, okay? So they can be written like this with a colon. They can be written with actual words, 2 to 5, or mostly what we see is written as a fraction. Okay, so in this lesson we're going to be focusing mostly on ones that are written like this, written as fractions. Okay, please be sure that you understand that these three ways are just different ways to write the same number. These all mean the same thing. Okay, just three different ways. So now that we know what a ratio is, we can start talking about what a proportion is. A proportion is an equation stating that the two ratios are equal, okay? So if I have two ratios, and remember I said we're going to look at them written as fractions. If I have two fractions set equal to each other, that would be called a proportion, okay? If it states that these two ratios are equal, that's called a proportion. So let's look at an example or two here. In example 1, for every 10 students that participate in sports, 6 of them are girls. So I need to write a ratio that reads 6 to 10. All right, so like I said, we can do it like this, 6 to 10. We can do 6 to 10, or the way we're going to be using in this lesson is 6 over 10. All right. Then we're going to look over here. Example 2. For every 30 students that participate in sports, 18 of them are girls. Well, how can we write that proportion? Same way you wrote this one. When we said 6 of them are girls out of 10, now we're saying 18 of the students are girls out of 30. So 18 out of 30. All right, not too difficult. Now let's go down and look at example 3. How do we know if the ratios from example 1 and example 2 are proportional? Remember, we said proportional means that they're equal, all right? So how do we know if these two ratios are equal? Well, let's rewrite them first of all. 6 out of 10, excuse me, 18 out of 30. Well, a lot of you are going to look at this and go, well, duh, Miss Roback, 10 times 3 is 30 and 6 times 3 is 18, so they're equal because the second fraction is just 3 times the first one. Well, yeah, but what if you had some variables in here? What if these got really messy? The way that you can do this is something called means extremes property. And this terminology can get pretty messy, but basically all this means is to cross multiply. So in a proportion, the product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. What that means is A and D are called the extremes, and B and C are called the means. So really all that means is if you set the extremes equal to the means and solve, that's how you can find out if your two ratios are proportional. All right, so all that means is if you have a fraction like this and a fraction like this, then you need to cross multiply A and D, set it equal to the cross multiplication of B and C this way. So you're just going across and across, so like this. Across, multiply those two, and then across this way. Multiply those two, set them equal. Let's go back up to the top here and actually try this out and see if it works. So that would mean that 6 times 30 cross multiply is what? 180 equals, how about 18 times 10? Well, that's also 180. So are these equal? Yeah, so this is a proportion, okay? This over here is a proportion. All right, let's go down to 45 and try our first one. We have 6/8 equals x over 6. So how can we figure out what that x is? Remember, when we're solving equations, solve means isolate the variable. Figure out what that variable is. So how can we do this? We need to rewrite this proportion as an equation, the way we've been seeing them up until now. Best way to do that is going to be to cross multiply. 8 times x is going to be 8x equals, cross multiply the other way, 6 times 6, well, we all know that's 36. All right, now this should look really familiar. This is a one-step equation. This should be very easy to solve from this point. All you need to do is divide by 8. And what is 36 divided by 8? You will get decimals for some of these. X is 4.5. Okay. Let's just go straight down again. Let's try number 47. Okay. We're going to do what we did before, cross multiply, and it really doesn't matter which one goes first, whatever works for you, to be honest. So b times 10, that's going to be, 10b equals, let's cross multiply the other way, 3 times 2. Well, we all know 3 times 2 is 6. Okay. Now, once again, this should look like a one-step equation. Let's isolate b, get it alone, divide by 10 on both sides, and b is going to be equal to 0.6. Okay, hopefully these are starting to make sense, and to be honest, this is going to be a review for a lot of you because I have a feeling you've cross-multiplied before. So let's flip over to the back. Ooh, now these are going to start getting messy. Hopefully you can see that. We don't just have the variable, we've got the variable with a constant. So we've got expressions as part of our ratio. So don't get confused. Just keep going the way you've been going and cross multiply. Okay, let's cross multiply this way first. We have 6 times 2 is 12. And then if we cross multiply the other way, now this is where you're going to start getting tripped up. We have 5 times this entire thing. So what that means, 12 equals 5 times this needs to go inside of parentheses. So what that means is we're going to have to distribute here, okay? Remember that when two things are just right next to each other, the way the 5 is right next to this set of parentheses, right next to this expression, that means multiply. So we are still cross-multiplying here, okay? So, man, I didn't leave a lot of room for this problem, and I'm so sorry. 12 equals, we need to distribute 5. 5 times m is 5m. And then 5 times 3 is 15. So I'm going to come over here on the side. 12 equals 5m plus 15. Let's subtract 15. And we have negative 3 equals 5m. We still need to solve for m. Isolate this, get it alone, so divide by 5. And we're going to have m equals negative 0.6. Okay. Now, so far we've been getting decimals. There's no problem with that. In this lesson, decimals are going to be common, okay? Okay, now I need you to listen to my following set of directions very, very carefully because I haven't done anything like this before, but looking ahead at some of the more difficult problems after number 53, you're going to start getting into multi-step equations that have a variable on both sides, or twice the distribution like the ones down here. So we're going to be spending 2 days on this lesson anyway. So I've decided just randomly right now, in this very moment, to stop after example 52 in this video, okay? So what I'm gonna have you do is to complete these last 3 examples on this page. I left you with 50, 51, and 52. And then don't forget the other 2 on the first page, the 46 and 48. So that leaves you with 5 examples to do on your own. And I'm gonna stop this lesson here. So there's gonna be another video tomorrow night for homework. And in that video, we're gonna start looking at these more difficult problems down here. There's 2, 4, 6, 8 of them, okay? So we'll do these 8 in the next video, kind of like a part 2. And all I want you to do today is go up to number 52, and then you can stop. So make sure that you come to class tomorrow with these done. And still, there are going to be questions on Schoology for you to answer, so don't forget to do that, okay?